Okay, so I'd like to talk for a few minutes about how all this neat technology is filtering its way down to general aviation. Some of these are happening as we speak. Other ones are my predictions for where we're going to go in general aviation based on some of the stuff that I've seen in the military. So, talk about propulsion, first of all. Fuels. Everybody's been reading in AOPA magazine and Flying magazine about 100 low lead and how it's probably going away. Well, that's probably true. We will eventually get another fuel that is not lead-based, but what that is remains to be seen, right? I don't think it's going to be a problem for your airplanes for quite some time, and I don't think we have anything to worry about. You probably read about electric propulsion. There's a gentleman by the name of George By who is working with Cessna and installing an electric-powered Cessna 172. So it's coming. The big area that I see is FADEC, Full Authority Digital Engine Control. It's really amazing to me how really piston engines have not fundamentally changed in, what, 70 years, something like that? And, you know, with all the technology that we have in our cars for ignition systems and smart engines with computer chips, why has not filtered its way into airplanes? It's just now starting to. I went to Austria and did the validation on the Diamond DA42. That is an engine. It started off with a Teeler engine, but that engine had some issues, and the company had some issues. And we wound up, Christian Dries, the CEO of Diamond Aircraft, installed a Austro engine. This is a Mercedes block and cast iron block, so very heavy. But he's installed a FADEC in twin engine piston airplane. It's a diesel engine and it's a FADEC. You've now gone from your Piper Seminole with 6 power levers, right? 2 props, 2 mixtures, 2 manifold pressure, to 2 levers, the way it should be, right? It's so simple. You only got 2 power levers, and you've also got push-button start. Regardless of the ambient conditions, hot or cold, whether the engine is previously run and the engine is warm, you just push a button and the engine starts. That's what it should be, right? So I'm discouraged because I haven't seen more people bring on FADEC technology into airplanes, but I'm thinking it's going to happen. Also, single power lever. Cirrus has a airplane now, the SR-22, SR-20, that have combined manifold pressure and prop control. It's a mechanical cam, and it's pretty simple, but it simplifies the pilot's tasks. Eventually, we're going to migrate to just a single power lever that's, in my opinion, projection. It's just going to directly control thrust. Also, engine displays. I see a lot of developments coming along in this area where the pilot's not going to have to monitor the engine. Kind of like the JSF prognostic health management system. Really, do you need an engine gauge and do you know all those limits? Well, yeah, the FAA probably wants you to know those numbers for testing, right? But do you really need all those limits? Don't you really just need a green light that says the engine is healthy? If it's not healthy, have the system report to me and tell me what's not healthy about it and what can I, the pilot, do about it. That's what I see as the future for FADEC. Okay, let's shift gears now, get away from propulsion, talk about next gen. Everybody here has heard of next gen, probably. It's ADS-B. There's ADS-B in, ADS-B out, but it's really going to enable us to fly much more efficiently. I don't want to get into technical details, but it's a cooperative data link, and I see that people that fly IFR in busy airspace, this will be a breeze where you're going to basically be talking to the other airplanes in front of you. You're able, via a data link, I say you will be talking. Your airplane will be talking to them via a data link, and you will be able to keep in-trail spacing either manually with flight directors or coupled to your autopilot. So very exciting stuff coming down the line. Anybody that reads AOPA and Flying Magazine knows that I think the mandate is, 2020 for ADS-B out to fly in certain controlled airspace for general aviation airplanes, so it's coming. Okay, let's talk about automation. There are a few manufacturers that have been very proactive in the arena of automation. Garmin, right here in Olathe, Kansas, we worked with them to certify envelope protection. And envelope protection is basically using existing autopilot servos and keeping the pilot, or giving force feedback through the stick force gradient, altering the stick force gradient to let the pilot know that he's getting into danger. So it controls you from excessive pitch attitudes, excessive roll attitudes. It also has underspeed protection and overspeed protection. So it's quite encouraging to see a small manufacturer, well, I say small, Garmin's pretty big now, isn't it? But this is already certified. We did the flight test on the King Air, as well as it's certified on the SR-22 Cirrus Air. The next area that I see up and coming is automatic ground collision avoidance. Most people are familiar with TAWS, Terrain Awareness and Warning System. It lets you know that there are hills out there through displays. In the F-16 and the F-35, I was the test pilot that developed this system back in the 90s for implementation in the F-16. We went out and we replicated every single Class A mishap, which means a fatality or loss of the airplane due to control flight into terrain. And with the system, basically, if you were to get a TAWS alert at the appropriate time, the autopilot takes over if you were flying manually and will fly you away from the ground. Very, very powerful. We demonstrated that we could save 3 F-16s a year. We're losing 3 F-16s a year right now to control flight into terrain, and that's the same for tactical fighters. This system eventually will work its way down to general aviation. So for those IFR pilots that are spatially disoriented and lose situational awareness on their position relative to the mountains, this will save your baby. Auto lands. We demonstrated auto lands on the F-35. That's nothing new in the airline world, right? We have Airbuses that fly down to touchdown, and the pilot is just monitoring the systems. I see this as an area where we're going to see this in general aviation soon. Obviously, it's a subset of automatic ground collision avoidance is a subset. You need to demonstrate this before you can do that. Flight control systems. Fly-by-wire. Everybody here knows what fly-by-wire is, right? Like I said earlier, you make an input to the computer decides whether it's going to let you move the control surfaces like that. I'm not aware of any general aviation airplane that has fly-by-wire in it yet. Business jets, Gulfstream just put it in the G650, and that's Part 25 business jet, but I'd like to see that migrate down to the small, light general aviation airplanes. There's a big benefit of having fly-by-wire. Other areas in flight control system, advancements, flight path control versus pitch and roll control. The Wright brothers solved the problem of ailerons and directional control. That we've been living with that technology since then. Pretty soon we're going to migrate to direct flight path control. We demonstrated this on the F-35. It's called DLC, direct lift control, where you're actually making direct flight path inputs instead of going through pitch and roll channels. And as I said, vertical takeoff and landing and transition to high-speed cruise. When I was growing up, I was watching the Jetsons, right? And George Jetson would pull his vehicle out of the garage and he'd push a button and it would take off vertically and scoot, right? Well, we're not there yet. I thought by the time I was in my 40s that I'd see that, and we're not seeing it yet. But it's coming. It's coming. I don't know when, but it will be here soon.